Today you are on top of my camera for a full wedding day. You'll see the photos that I take, the settings that I use, and then we'll eat pizza. I'm kidding. There's no pizza.
Taylor Jackson, shooting 67 weddings last year.
Taylor Jackson, welcome.
So Taylor, you are well known in this community. You're an amazing photographer.
Greetings and salutations. I am Taylor Jackson. It's a bit of a weird day out right now. Very cloudy, a little bit rainy, foggy, kind of cool atmosphere. So if it doesn't clear up, I hope it just stops raining because rain's kind of annoying. I've also been told that the reception is a little bit of a challenge, but I haven't yet seen any images of it. So I'm interested to see what kind of challenge we're going to expect there. So stay tuned. Thank you everyone that signed up over at Patreon. I uploaded 2 videos. One really challenging ceremony that makes me uncomfortable to watch. We did the best we could, but as a wedding photographer, you always have to kind of work within the elements that you're given, and that day we were given lots of challenges. So hopefully you enjoyed the uncomfortableness of watching that. But let's go to the wedding. You're gonna be on top of my camera. You hear that? What is that noise? It's a wavy transition. That was really dumb. All right, welcome to the wedding day. You're gonna be on my camera. Right now I'm changing white balances because I'm in a very strange environment as far as lighting goes. Usually for details, I have a little bit more space and a little bit more natural light, but today I'm using this table and it's working out okay. I'm using a flash for details as well, which is incredibly rare. I don't think I've ever actually done that in the past. Everything that you're going to see today has been edited by my preset pack. You can find that in the description. For pretty much everything, I'm either using the people preset or the places preset. They're a little bit different, but they're pretty much my go-to for all wedding days, and they seem to work in pretty much every single situation, which is why I like them. The bride's father got the bride and groom this car as a gift for their wedding day, not to keep, just for the day, unfortunately. But I know that he is a huge fan of it, and I also know that they really love their house, as you can see by the beautiful lawn maintenance. So I'm spending some extra time kind of incorporating this car into their house shots. It's a little bit more interesting than just a traditional kind of wide-angle house shot. This is actually a really old habit of mine that I shoot lots of random details of objects to use as backgrounds for their albums, but I don't make albums anymore. I have a video about why I don't make or sell albums anymore that my couples have full release to do that if they want. But these are details that I would typically use as backgrounds for those spreads. I think there still is value in delivering them for the bride's family, for the bride, and also for the limo company as business and marketing. Promise that's the last limo shot. I'm going to move on from there. So this is the bride's father watching the bride come down the aisle. I am on a 50mm 1.8 lens, and I'm going to cue up some really sad music to put underneath these photos that are about to be displayed.
The scene is getting crowded, I'ma ride my own wave. I don't need your approval, I'ma go my own.
These are all just from my 50mm 1.4. As an introverted person, I tend to rely a little bit more on my 85mm lens because that can give me a little bit more zoom. But now I've changed to my 7200. We are about to go outside to do some photos with the car, but I'm always grabbing candids throughout the entire day. Candids of flowers.
That looks good. And can I make you all talk to each other again? I'm only gonna do it like one more time. Thank you.
At this point that I'm only going to make them smile and laugh at each other 3 times. 1 as the bridesmaids, 1 as the couple, and 1 as the full wedding party. And if I do it outside of that, they're free to just stare at my camera angrily. I like getting candids of details rather than just kind of setting up those shots that if I can get a photo of the back of her dress actually while she's living her day, I would much rather that than something posed and a little bit more contrived.
Look at me.
She's super happy with me right now.
Straight eye contact. Perfect. And if you want to look kind of over at the bottle of champagne and like just be happy with that direction.
I'm using the tree to kind of frame into the scene. There's a lot of colorful hanging baskets kind of behind, and I tried to frame a few of them out using that obstruction. All right, now we are off to the ceremony. I really love shooting through vintage glass, or regular glass, I guess. I like the randomness and the reflections. Right now it's not working out super well because there's a lot of cars in the parking lot, but if you're in somewhere that the outside space is a little bit darker, like trees, a dark green, something like that, it works super well. So this is just a little story of the bride getting out of the car. Tim spent all morning with the guys, which is why there's no guys prep shots, because he was out doing that. And yeah, we just arrived at the ceremony here, and I'm just going to basically get candids of everyone because I'm not really sure what the reception is going to bring us in terms of lighting, and I'm not sure if the cocktail hour is going to be outside or inside. So at this moment, everyone's in good light, so I'm going to get as many candids as I possibly can. You're going to see me flipping through a weird setting. That 24 to 36 there is me entering into crop mode. This is Tim entering into my frame, and this is just a sample of all the candidates that I'm getting. I'm just basically just looking for people smiling, laughing, having a good time, and as soon as they do, they get a picture taken, and we kind of check them off the list. My goal is to get at least one image of every single person that's come to the wedding, regardless of how many people are at the wedding. So some days I have to do a lot more candids, and Tim will actually go out during cocktail hour and get people to smile and face the camera together as well, just so that they are involved in a photo. I'm always up on the right-hand side of the aisle because when people are coming down, I know that when I'm standing here that I can get a photograph of the groom looking at the bride, unless they've flipped the ceremony, so maybe verify that before. But for the most part, the groom is always going to be on the other side of the aisle, and I'm going to be on this side of the aisle here so that I can get everything. I also try to stay out of the way as much as I possibly can, specifically for family, for bridesmaids, anybody that's kind of lining up behind me. I want them to be able to see as well. Again, when they're at the very far back, I'm entering into crop mode, so I'm actually at like 300 millimeters on my 70-200. I get less megapixels, but I get a tighter shot, and then I get them again once they get a little bit closer. I'm dealing with two issues today. One is that there is a banner hanging directly above the door that they're all exiting out of. And second, there's an exit sign that's kind of in the background, either if you're on the left or right-hand side of the aisle. There's mirrored exit signs that are in the background. So I'm trying to get the safe shot at the far back at 300 with less megapixels, and then hope that one of their heads pass directly in front of that exit sign so I can get it, so I don't have to brush out in post, because I want to get it right, or as right as I possibly can in camera, because that means that my post-production on this wedding is going to be somewhere between 2 to 3 hours, including culling, rather than something like 6 or 8 hours. Also, shooting manual really helps keep that consistency, because I know that everyone is in consistent lighting here, and I can just batch process everything. The rest of the ceremony, I'm just trying to be as unobtrusive as possible. Right now, I think it's okay to be up front and really laying on the shutter quite a lot, but nobody can really hear when there's loud music, or if there's clapping, or if there's singing, or anything that makes noise. I don't mind shooting a few more frames, but in these moments, I try to be at least as respectful as I can. And quite honestly, even though you can hear the shutter quite a lot because my camera is attached to my camera and you get that vibration noise, it's really not that loud. If you're concerned with it, definitely check out Sony Silent Shooting. It's definitely going to be a game changer for me, but this might be my only church wedding of this calendar year, at least the only one that I'm aware of right now. If you want to comment below and tell me if your weddings are mostly at churches or if they're mostly at reception venues, I'm actually super interested. I don't know if this is just a phenomenon for me, but out of the 65 weddings that I'm going to be photographing this year, one of them I believe is at a church. So I think that's it's a very interesting stat. When everyone is standing at the front is my time to actually do, I would say, the most obtrusive thing that I do, which is be at the very, very front of the ceremony, specifically with a more traditional ceremony. If they're going to be facing this way for a lot of the day, I want to get all these shots as fast as I possibly can. And as soon as everybody sits down, I'm going to run to the back and hang out there until halfway through the ceremony when they turn and face each other. I'm not shooting any wide frames today because Tim is my second photographer, and also he has a wide angle on his camera. So everything that you're seeing is from my camera today, which is traditionally either a 50 and 85 or a 70-200. You'll notice that I won't really go anywhere past this point here. This is kind of the last pew with the largest group of people in front of me. There's some outliers behind, but for the most part, I want everybody to be able to see. I don't want to become the center of attention, and I'm just going to be grabbing candids of whatever's going on, and that includes details. I would way rather grab a photograph of this program in someone's hand than to just have it laying on a pew all by itself against wood. I like to integrate everything into the wedding day as much as I can. Again, just hanging out at the back. Even when they do the ring exchange and the first kiss, this is about as close as I'll come. I don't mind if people are throwing cell phones up to get the photo too. Usually people are pretty respectful. If you're a member of the Patreon, that really awkward ceremony that I talked about earlier in this video, has the most amount of cell phones I've ever seen in my life. So that's why it was a very challenging thing for me. At this point, we grab our bags, and I wait at the back here for the couple to come back down towards us, and I have my bag ready to go, or my jacket, or whatever I need to be able to follow the couple straight out to start getting those candidates, because that, like, 35 seconds to like 2 minutes, when the entire wedding party comes out and the parents come out, those are the best candidates I think of the entire day. So you just kind of have to hope that they end up in good light, because that is kind of out of your control. That's not a moment that I would really pose or step in and be like, yo, can you actually hang out over here, rather than where you kind of naturally went. I just kind of work around them for the day. Whatever they're doing, I'm going to photograph it in the best way possible. You'll notice that a lot of my photos are on the warmer side, and I do that because I edit for the most flattering skin tone. I'm very aware of what makes a flattering image when I'm editing and when I'm culling, and what just makes a technically correct one. And I know that I've taken some photos that I absolutely love the colors and the lighting and everything, but because it's just not a flattering photo, it's not one that I'm ever going to post or do anything with. So they immediately get called out very quickly. A lot of people miss this section right here because they're busy grabbing their bags and trying to get back to this spot. So grab your bag before, plan a little bit ahead, because there is a lot of good emotion happening in the next like half a minute here. And the more you photograph weddings, the more you'll actually be able to anticipate these moments and figure out what the most efficient and effective way is for you to run your life kind of behind the scenes, so that you can do the best photography work possible on the wedding day.
All right, quick breakdown of this room. Shooting from over here sucks because it's kind of this mix of incandescent lights, but if I'm sitting over by the doors over that way, or the doors over this way, or the doors over that way, it's going to be a lot better light. So I'm going to go over there, get lots of candidates, and then head to the reception.
As I said earlier, it is my goal to make sure that everyone exists in at least one photo, and for all the key members, anyone that was sitting in the front couple pews, I want to make sure that they are photographed for sure, and usually they're the first ones out here, so they're very easy to photograph. And I think the key is just to put yourself in good light, stand in front of the light source, so if it's doors or a skylight, stand in that direction, and then anything that happens in front of you should be a good image as long as you capture the emotion correctly.
I'm going to be shooting exteriors with my 7200 because I feel like that's a weird thing to do, and it creates interesting photos. It's usually where they have the ceremonies, if you have a ceremony on site here. Very beautiful, very nice backdrop. Would have been a little sketchy today because it was raining this morning. The boring facing me. That looks good. And if you want to put both arms around each other and get like really close together, yeah, something like that, and just forget I'm here. Sorry, I didn't know that would happen. If you guys want to hold hands and walk towards me.
Want to make out again?
Just like that's good. And you guys can look at each other and just pretend I'm not here. Get a little closer together if you can without stepping. That's good there. Perfect. And stop right there, just like arm around each other and look towards me, and that's all for right now. That looks good. And then everyone get as close together as you possibly can. Just kind of spread out a little bit, and I'm going to make you all walk towards me. And just don't look at me, I'm not here.
I think the easiest way to get people to just relax and actually be themselves is just to make them walk towards you. I think that there's a level of confidence and certainty in that, that people are just a little bit more relaxed when doing it rather than just standing in front of the camera. I'm also trying to frame out, there's a car in the background there that's like the headlights are right down my lens, so I'm going to kind of rotate to this side out of that, rather than just like making them do it over and over and over again. I'm going to adjust my workflow to kind of suit whatever's happening. And I think it worked out just fine, and their experience was protected.
Cool. That looks great. And can I make you guys kind of hold hands and wander towards me here a little bit?
And where are we looking?
And you can look at each other and be happy with each other.
Tim has actually been inside doing details this entire time. The bride and groom are just grabbing a quick drink, so I'm going to do a few details like the cake, and then I'm going to head outside with them once again.
Even, you know what, even closer to the stairs is okay. It's a little less dirty. Wherever the less dirtiest spot is there. There's good then.
I'm always super aware of any wet or dirt spots on the ground, and I want to keep my bride and groom away from that. It's also rare that I will actually make anyone go on grass unless it's absolutely necessary, just because I find that if I can keep them on cement and, again, kind of work around that I make their experience of the day a lot better.
Just kind of stand side by side there. That looks great. And you guys can kiss for one, maybe. Perfect. And can you hold hands and just kind of like take a couple steps kind of slowly this way? And same deal, look at each other, not at me. Awesome, that's perfect right there. Looks like a fake backdrop. Because it's so like smoky. It looks like we're here at 6 in the morning.
As soon as we saw this, we're like, okay.
Yeah, so maybe we come down here for family.
Family down here is easy, right?
Yeah,
and
then we'll
bring the bridal party here again if you want more bridal party.
Yeah, and do one big photo with everyone.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Photo. Yeah, this is.
All right, that sounds good to me. Just put them down here. That's fine too. And then you can put both arms around each other a little more. That's great. And if you want to kiss for one.
I always do my best to get the in-between moments, and I would consider that an in-between moment, that they are just about to kiss, but it's not a kiss and it's not them being apart, that I like the movement. We did family photos here, and basically I just did this 50mm 1.4. Lots of family groups, probably pretty boring for you to watch, so watch this instead. Here I'm going to take my cell phone out of my pocket. I think Sam Hurd originated this technique, at least he told me about it. Basically what you do is you create a reflection off of your phone. This is an iPhone X, very glossy, very reflective. And you play around with reflections like that rather than getting a prism or something like that, that you always have your cell phone with you. And the results are pretty cool, but use it sparingly throughout a wedding day. Self-critique here. I shouldn't have shot this at 1.4. I should have stopped down a bit. There's just a little bit too much depth in the group.
Where are you going, Tim? So this room, as Lindsay warned, is a little bit weird. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an off-camera flash right here because it's going to point up at this white. Whereas if I was bouncing a flash off the ceiling over here or over here, it would not really do much. But there's a flash right here. It's going to illuminate everyone at the head table perfectly and whoever's speaking.
So my off-camera flash is in a different video if you want to learn more about that. And this is usually the part of the day that I talk to the DJ and I ask him to only turn on white lights or no lights during first dances. And I forgot to do that today.
And now, if you would please get on your feet, we gotta make a little bit more excitement for this next couple you may never video.
Here's a PSA, if you're using an off-camera flash, change the batteries before because my recycle time was not being as fast as I wanted it to be, so I turned my flash down to 1/16 and had to bump my ISO up, took a test frame there, and it all worked out, but it would have been a little bit easier to just change the batteries at a non-critical time and not have to find that out 3/4 of the way through introduction, so that's the end of my PSA.
Got one light over here. Bounced off the white. Doing photos. Narrating. Uh-oh. What are you talking about?
With just one off-camera light, you can really create some great images that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to get just using a flash on top of my camera. Alright, so as I said earlier that I forgot to tell the DJ to only turn on white lights or no lights during their first dance, and once they're on it's kind of too late. I can't really go up and tell them to do that, so now I have to work around the conditions that I'm given, which means usually kind of using them like the sun and placing the lights behind them to give them a little bit of a halo, but also to keep the weird colors off of their faces of the side that I'm on, so it worked out. I also try to include key family members. His mom is off to the left here and his dad is off to the right, and their significant others are beside them. I would way rather do it this way than accidentally include somebody's date in the background of important images like this. Thank you so much for watching the entire wedding and making it to the end of the video. It's now a new day. So thank you for watching, and thank you for everyone that's joined the Patreon and is part of that community, because there is a lot of great content coming out there. So if you're interested in learning more about wedding photography, hop over there. Lots of great content already, like my entire pricing breakdown, 2-hour video on how to book destination weddings, as well as videos on how to make your first dollar in landscape photography, as well as how I jumped from $0 to $90,000 a year in travel and landscape photography, which is pretty significant and life-changing. So hop over there if you're interested. We'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, or don't. I don't know. I'm not your dad.